we're reading a book about shifting, and quite frankly, I'm shifting my pants with anticipation.
You're videotaping the show. I am.
My furry butt lovers. As the book's tagline says, you can't run from desire, nor can you run away from this video. Have you ever wanted to read about a Russian leopard man who falls in love and is also in the mob? Neither have I, but we're gonna go on a journey together. Welcome to another book report. In this series, I prove I can read. Usually I go for yeehaw romance novels, but today we're going for a supernatural action romance thriller thing. As always, we're gonna go post-it note by post-it note. Hopefully I can paint a full picture of the story, but mostly we're gonna be roasting. Starting with the acknowledgements, we're really cutting deep here. This isn't about the characters, it's about you, Kristen Feehan. Acknowledge this acknowledgement, don't mind if I do. Many thanks to Brian Feehan for challenging me to write faster and always try for better. How does she write like she's running out of time? It's because if she doesn't, Brian will want to fight. Page 2 really got me. I thought we were getting some insane tea. So Fyodor is the main character, Timur's brother. Fyodor made no bones about loving his wife. No bones about showing it either. The thing was, Timur loved her too. Ooh. He loved her as a sister. Oh. No tea here, but they really baited me. Everything I know about shifting comes from this book, so I will only be referring to the shifting I know from this fictional source material. I know that shifting is very common in Slavic mythology. I know nothing about Slavic mythology. So to clear something up, they are not their leopards. They have like a leopard living inside them almost, and then they transform into them. The closest thing I could think of that reminded me of this was in Turning Red, but instead of it being symbolism for puberty, it's for childhood trauma and anger issues, no joke. Yeah, the first we hear of Timur, we hear how violent he is and how many people he's killed. Pardon me for my frankness, but why would I give a flying fart who he fucks? They use the childhood trauma as a way to almost soften all the terrible things he's done. They describe graphically how dangerous he is, but then they're like, wait, but he has trauma. So if you don't like him, you're the problem. Excuse me, what? I have a snippet of page 4 here, and I don't even know how to go about how many things are wrong with this, so I'm just gonna read you it. She smelt faintly of grapefruit and a fresh cut cypress. Who smelled like that?
No one.
Evidently, he liked it, or more importantly, his leopard did. Usually, if he got too close to a human being, male or female, his leopard raged, wanting to kill, needing to draw blood. For the first time, the cat had gone entirely quiet, almost purring. Whoa, you hungry, dude? Your belly's rumbling. No, that's my leopard. You're what? He's purring. That means he likes you. Cool.
He wants to mate.
Page 5, he just meets Ash, his love interest, and it's already so explicit. They describe a part of his body like this. It grew into a monster, roaring at him, just the way his leopard always did. Ew. Why are they comparing his cock-a-doodle-doo to a leopard? Are they going to continue doing that? And it's spotted like a leopard, and it itches like a cat. You should see a doctor. Now here's a little bit of their first conversation. You're just the nicest man I've ever met. If you don't like it, you'll have to take it up with my parents. Unfortunately, they're both deceased, so you'll have a little trouble finding them. They just met! And he's taking a big old trauma dump on her. Back to litter box training with you. If Ash and Timur had a couple song, especially for the beginning of this book, it would be Love the Way You Lie from Rihanna and Eminem. That should give you some insight into how violent they both are. If she ever tries to fuck with me again, I'ma tie her to this bed and set this house on fire. The radio version of that song goes, if she ever tries to with me again, just gonna stand there. And I think it's really funny. Page 13. Make this right, because if you don't, she could disappear. Evangeline's face went pale. Timur. A little bit of context for this, not that it makes it okay, but because the author keeps using it as justification, so I might as well tell you. Timur is basically his brother and his brother's wife's bodyguard. Brother's wife hires Ash to work at the bakery with her, but she didn't run this by Timur, so Timur's like, I should kill Ash. Alright, she might be a spy. So he's really jumping the gun. And he has a gun, so that's not something you want to hear. But he didn't like the thought of hurting Ash. In fact, his cat protested with a mean snarl and a vicious swipe to his gut. Okay, but do they mean that literally? Is this leopard just like chilling around with all of his organs? In one scene, Timur whispers against Ash's ear, and then it says this. The little shell of an ear he found fascinating and sexy. Who knew an ear could be either? Certainly not me. I wrote, I think the author takes pride in writing sentences no one else would even dare dream up. But then she points out her originality, like, oh, how could that be? It was like when she was describing the way she smelt.
She smelled faintly of grapefruit and a fresh cut cypress. Who smelled like that?
Oh, what a weird thing to say, but you still said it. It still made its way into this book. Congrats, I guess. I'll Kristen Fee hand it to ya. We finally see Timur's shift, and it seems pretty gruesome from the way they describe it, like fur bursts through his skin. For whatever reason, with that very vague descriptor, I imagine him looking like that one leopard from Kung Fu Panda, and that's the only reason I'm still reading. Am I right? I just feel like I should tell you that Timur's heart beat fast and savagely. Ba-bitch, 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 ba-bitch. Ash is also a leopard. Who could have foreseen this? And pretty early in the book, Timur's leopard, claims hers? It doesn't pass the Bechdel test, don't even ask. There's a line of this book that's too explicit to read, but it essentially said, I can't believe my leopard kissed her before me. That reads almost like a sitcom, and then the leopard would barge through the door and be like, I heard you were talking about me, and the audience would cheer because that's like the favorite character or something. Speaking of sitcom-y shenanigans, he tries to kill her. She, no joke, responds like this. You tried to kill me because you thought I was a threat to your family? If that isn't the most sweetest, most noblest, sexiest thing I've ever heard in my life. Yeah, guys, she's into it. It was starting to remind me of the blackmailed bridegroom, which, as you know, I yeeted into the trash. Nice throw. And I was very close to doing that here as well, but she's into it, so like, it's consensual. Chapter 4 comes along, and the final nail in the coffin of Ash's self-respect. It's all from her perspective to make sure we know that she's into it. She's making an Ash out of herself. She's like one of those weird internet stans that like lusts over serial killers. Which, like, if you're one of those, therapy. My biggest turn on is a man who's committed to his job. That's just like my boyfriend Timur. He's a murderer. Talk about committed. He's committed murder. What a dreamboat. Steamy alert, page 71. His mouth left hers to travel over her chin and down her throat, leaving behind a trail of fire.
Holy shit, he's a dragon too?
Silliness aside, they have way too many comparisons to animals. As she was mentioning how hot he is, she mentioned the big bad wolf and the muscles of a racehorse for some reason. What if he had the muscles of a human? What if he reminded you of, like, I don't know, a human? They're starting to get into the mob stuff, and Greece is mentioned a lot. Mimilas yatin helada, yatifasik piso metikutala. Vlaka. Whoa, I don't know what happened. I was just seeing blue and white. So I'm not sure if you guys caught on. This book is about a man with a leopard inside him. So you'd think it would be anything but traditional, but their relationship is so stereotypical. He's a brute. He's muscular. And they just met and they never went out on a date, but now she's committed to him because she likes feeling protected and safe. Because now he's protecting her and keeping her safe as opposed to, I don't know, being the threat, being the predator. God, I just wish there was a romance book that was just as cheesy, but instead of the big muscular guy, it was like, with his frail physique, he looks like he can be blown right into my arms. A delicate man, a beta. He beta get over here so I can propose. Lanky bitch. By chapter 6, I'm starting to realize that this author's actually better at action sequences, but those really bore the fuck out of me. I literally fell asleep to a James Bond movie in theaters. Skyfall, right asleep. That's the only thing I remember is that Adele song. I don't remember which movie it is, but it was the one with the Adele song. Oh, I actually remembered another thing about that movie. There was a hot lady, like, shaving his face with a knife. You'd think they would shave a few more minutes off that movie, you know what I mean? So Ash's leopard is actually a lot different than Timur's. Hers is thirsty, but not for blood. You know what I mean? We see Ash able to talk to her leopard more so than Timur is able to talk to his. The only time Timur's ever talked to his leopard is to be like, hey, can you like chill out a little bit? But Ash and Godiva, that's the name of her leopard, Godiva, obsessed, what a queen. They have like a cute back and forth sometimes. Page 126, their dynamic has officially completely changed. I'm not joking, 40 or so pages ago, the way they talked to each other was vastly different. It is an enemies to lovers speed run. He used to threaten her, which I have to reiterate again, she was into. And now he's like my angel cake, my honey dove, my ooey gooey yummy wummy tasty little snack. Kissing her was like a terrible storm. Thousands of people have lost their houses, 50 people are missing, and the governor has fled, leaving behind this message of hope. Poor people, eat my shit. Here's Nelson with the weather. Yeah, it's literally just two people kissing. I really thought I've seen it all, but this book takes the cake. They have the most explicit corn scenes, and then it cuts to like Animal Planet. And then I with a bucket of The problem was that the female leopards liked to lead on their male for a few days, sometimes a week or more. They would get amorous, rubbing their bodies enticingly in an effort to draw in the male. A word? Also, I'm sorry. At every second, they're so paranoid that someone's gonna kill them, but then they get freaky in a car? Sir, I got a visual on them. Should I take the shot? Wait! They're making love. Let them have this. That's kind of beautiful. And one day, it'll happen for you too, son. You really think so, Pop? But don't you forget, Timur's a murderer. He ripped at the leopard's belly with a killer's claws. His leopard had grown up in an environment of blood and hatred. Oh my God, we know. My condolences to him. Every time he gets violent, the author's like, but don't forget. He was abused. He's still not a likable character. Let's just keep it moving. Chop, chop.
Chop, chop, huh? That's exactly how my daddy killed my mommy.
Okay, I'm halfway through now, and they're being weirdly domestic.
Domesticated leopards? Now I've seen everything.
They turned a new leaf. I'm rooting for them now. I don't know how to describe it. Okay, so Timur is about to take down the gang that killed her parents. So they're in the car on the way there, like it's some sort of field trip, like, oh, you ready for murder? And he needs to open up the window because he needs to take in a scent that isn't hers. Not because she's stinky, but because her scent calms him down so much, and he needs to get back into that, like, vicious mindset. Why am I finding this sweet? Page 216, their leopards finally did it. Chapter 12 and chapter 13 I'm absolutely speechless about, so I'm gonna let this clip take it away because this is all that happened.
It's like, no big deal. Like, sucking dick and cock. Like, I'm just like, oh my God.
Thank you for filling us in, Tati. Alright, bye, sister. In the middle of...
Oh my God.
Corn, a confession. No one else knew about the poetry he wrote, tucked away in a secret diary he feared an enemy might find someday. Let me freestyle as Timur real quick. Your name is Ash, 'cause I rise from that like phoenix into better man. Well, half man, half cat. I hate Mondays like Chris Pratt.
Oh my God.
A lot of chapter 14 reads like a Godfather's scene. Basically, Evangeline, Timur's brother's wife, is having a dinner party from her family. Her family's a bunch of sketchballs, and they're only interested in rekindling a connection with her for business.
Business?
She gets upset by this, and this is how her husband tries to comfort her. Fyodor? I think it might be Fyodor. Fyodor leaned into Evangeline, brushing his mouth along her neck. So they're killing people left and right. They're killing people. They're avenging their women. There's a lot of sex. But the final plot twist is that Ulysses a traitor. No! I knew I couldn't trust that bastard. How could anybody have seen this coming? Who's Ulysses? Oh, thank God someone said it. No idea. That's all I have for you today, my beautiful butt lovers. Stay safe out there. Be sure to check out my other book reports. They are a hoot and a holler, and I really hope you enjoyed. Bye!